Hey, it's Dave 2 here reporting from Hurricane Beryl, which hit the east coast of the United States and the Caribbean region earlier in July. I'm going to be doing my July 2024 news debrief. I didn't post it on YouTube yet. I wasn't doing that. August was my first one, but I did put it on the Discord along with a couple other things. I've been doing multiple predictions a month, but typically what I've been doing is one main one and then following up with a second recording where I kind of just rapidly go through a list of events. In August, I just did one because that's the one that's really been the important one. I'm trying not to inflate it too much. But my prediction for July 2024 was that there was going to be a Category 5 hurricane in the Bahamas region between July 9th and July 11th. Let me open up the feedback for this. Actually, first, just to explain, Hurricane Beryl hit. It was the earliest forming Category 5 hurricane on record and the second such storm in the month of July. It formed on June 28th and it went post-tropical on July 9th and dissipated on July 11th. This is my debrief file. F4 means that I know what the tasking is, but I technically can't know what the target is. And so I did set my own intent for this, which was to describe the most interesting public news event that will occur in July 2024 to my subconscious. I've been letting my subconscious be my tasker. It's been working out well. I just generated this, didn't use it, really just setting this intent. To give a summary of the session, which because I haven't posted the session, this is going to be the only debrief where the raw session will come up afterwards. It's just the audio recording because that's what I've been doing. I will probably try and record them on video in the future. And maybe what I'll do is I'll sit here on my whiteboard and kind of draw out and show what I was experiencing during the session. So for the summary, in a remote viewing session on June 22nd, 2024, Dave, me, forecasted a significant public news event involving a Category 5 hurricane in July 2024. This hurricane, originating near Africa, is expected to travel over Puerto Rico, Cuba, and the Bahamas before grazing the east coast of the U.S., particularly impacting North Carolina closely before veering into the Atlantic. That part with Beryl didn't happen. I had it going up the east coast. I think the trajectory is it ended up going up into Texas. But that's okay. I'm happy with the other data. The event is predicted to occur around July 9th to the 11th, bringing torrential rains and high winds to the Myrtle Beach and surrounding areas. Myrtle Beach is where I live, so that's probably why I'm caring about hurricanes. I'm also new to the area. This is my third year living here. This storm, described as the storm of the century, is anticipated to be a major news event, highlighted by media coverage emphasizing climate change. Already went over Hurricane Beryl being the earliest formed on record. If I look at all of the Category 5 hurricanes in the Atlantic and we scroll down, you can see that there's only been two. So this is why I'm stressing this. I really like David Powell's challenge. His challenge is that when you're doing news, you've got to start getting specific about it. In remote viewing, you're supposed to describe, not name. But in news, in order for it to be useful, you should name. If I say there's going to be a hurricane during hurricane season, cool. We know there's going to be a storm during hurricane season. That's why it's called hurricane season. There's going to be a hurricane hitting Myrtle Beach here on Thursday. That's what happens during this time of year. So, taking the challenge, what is the date? What is the date range that it's going to hit? And give me some details about it. Saying that there's just a hurricane in July is one thing. Saying that there's going to be I didn't say the earliest, but I did say a Category 5, which would be the second one ever in history. Or on recorded record, not history, but recorded record. That starts to add some details that make this much more compelling and fun. So am I more likely to miss when I add these details? Sure. That's not the point. I'm not trying to prove RV or prove myself or prove anything. I really just want to push this and have fun doing it. And I totally agree with David's suggestion. Name names, get down to dates, say what it is. Like, 2 seconds into the session, I think I call it a hurricane. So this is a pretty cool one, pretty fun, awesome hit. Love all of the data here. And yeah, trying to think if there's anything specific that I should say from the data besides it. It's only like a 5-minute session after truncating all the silence. It pretty much just describes a hurricane. So without further ado, I will let it jump over to the recording of that. And thanks for watching. This is Dave 2 on June 22nd, 2024 at 2:29 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to do the target for the most, something about the news in July. Normally when I do this, I cite the most impactful or whatever. You could say the most important, but like that's kind of subjective. Last time I did like whatever the most significant or interesting news to my subconscious would be. That just gave me like chills. So I'm going to go with that. We're going to do, the intent is to describe the most interesting public news event that is currently unknown that will occur in July 2024. PI on this, I already watched Future Forecasters thing for July 15th, 16th, whatever that is, with Cliff High stuff. I kind of watched it, but like they didn't really say what it was. It was just that it was some like event thing. Okay, so we're going to say July. Weird. My hand is doing like this for the ideogram is this circular, it's like a cowboy whip, but like with a finger pointed out. There's this flat spirally motion thing. Let's open this up. What are we looking at here? So I'm basically looking at something from, it's like the edge of Earth from space. There's lots of blackness, and then there's this sphere in front of me, AWOLing like a hurricane or something. What is here? There's this motion on the surface of the sphere that is very strong, and it's going counterclockwise. Let's probe the relationship of the spinning motion thing to the tasking. It popped up with like a CNN article. There's red at the top, white background, black text, and basically like a video thing with a female reporter. This is a flash that I'm describing at the moment, a flash visual. A female reporter, auburn brown hair, like highlights kind of, late 30s, early 40s or something, standing there, holding a microphone, and looks like it's like, so this is kind of odd because I mean, she doesn't look like she's in trouble or anything. Doesn't look like she's getting wet because like I can see her hair and stuff, but like behind her is this like dark storm thing with palm trees and wind blowing and stuff, like what you would expect to see from a hurricane. There was a audible like Alma or Dalma, Thelma, like the Alma part, ELMA, the word city. Let's take this big thing, the circular thing. Wow, it's showing me like Cuba area stuff. And then it basically like comes up the coast. It comes up the coast and kind of like grazes the coast on the edge, but the eye kind of does that. And then around North Carolina or Virginia, it like beelines into the middle of the Atlantic and then up into the middle. That's cool. Cat 5. Category 5 hurricane would be like catastrophic. Okay, so this is basically saying that a Category 5 hurricane grazes the east coast of the United States. It basically tracks the shoreline, stays on the shelf, like where the deep part is. That's where the eye stays. And it causes like torrential downpours and stuff on the coast. But it kind of makes its way up. It looks like the eye gets very close, or like the east coast of North Carolina gets hammered. Like the eye was closer to it than anywhere else. But kind of after that, that's where it does like the beeline dip out into the Atlantic and then curls up to the center and then dissipates. Since I'm in Myrtle Beach, is there any relevance for me? It's like buckle up. Show my patio, high winds here, securing stuff, doing all that. But then ultimately it shows there's some guy like at my condo, which I have it rented out, just be like, what the fuck? Like staring and like, holy shit. That's great. Yeah, there's so much rain and stuff, like you can't even see anything out of there. I feel like they choose to leave and I go up there or something. There's a sense of danger if I do that, where it's like, what if I go up there, and then it decides to come inward? Does that make sense? So like you think you're good, you think it's fine, you go up there to do that, and then bam. That's interesting. That is an interesting note. The storm of the century. A close miss with death. It's just used in the news for like climate change badgering. The storm's only going to get worse from here. This feels like it lands like July 9th to the 11th, sometime around that time frame. The words solar winds. Also, in the last 2 years that I've lived here, we did have 2 hurricanes hit us. I believe one was August, the other was September. And I know it's hurricane season, but like we haven't seen anything in July. Okay, let's move on from this event. We have hurricane July 9th to the 11th, some name Elma, enormous size from space, like a really, really big white looking storm, counterclockwise rotation. I don't know which way hurricanes typically go, if it's clockwise or counterclockwise, but it's counterclockwise motion. Reporters on the coast has a warning there about heavy rains and flooding and stuff. It looks like the eye gets very close in North Carolina. It does, that whole line comes off. Where did it start? Feels like it started over by Africa. So like the south side of the big peninsula thing for Africa, And then it's basically like builds all this momentum, comes over top of, Puerto Rico and Cuba and stuff, up, devastates the Bahamas, then up the coast of Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina, grazes Virginia, and then it beelines it directly east and then curls up. Okay, I could draw that. I'm going to close out on this one, and then I will open up and do another session. It's the following day from when I recorded the debrief video for this. There are some updates in my area. I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We're about to get hit by Hurricane Debbie. And I kind of believe that time and the way that we perceive these events sometimes can bleed over. So this would be technically a miss, but I do find that there's interesting stuff here that is impactful to me. If I look at my July 2024 news thing, there was that thing about going up the East Coast. Beryl went into Texas, and this was about going up, grazing our coast, then going deeper into North Carolina. That's the data that I got on the session. I got that it would happen around July 9th to the 11th, which in the last video there, it showed that that's when the last one dissipated, bringing torrential rains and high winds. Now, Beryl had high winds and torrential rains to Myrtle Beach and the surrounding areas, right? We are now under a catastrophic flooding possibility in parts of South Carolina. And it's kind of like the hot news that I'm hearing all about right now in my area. I live about right here. We are now, I believe we're actually in the level 4 risk. It's coming up and going into North Carolina slightly now. So we're probably going to see some pretty crazy flooding here. And kind of what I was predicting here. Now, that's supposed to land on Thursday. It's Monday right now, the 5th. Thursday would be the 8th. And the flooding is going to happen from the 9th to the 11th. Interesting, right? So it's possible that there is some sort of like double overlap going on here where, yes, I got the hurricane going there for the Cat 5, but also there's this one. Now, if I take a look at the path of where it's going, it's currently over Florida right now. Then it comes out into the Atlantic, and it's going to come up. And this is, I believe, the European model is saying that it's going to graze us. Oh, that's going to be a direct hit if we get it like that. And then it really goes into North Carolina there. And it looks like it's dissipating. Whoops. This is windy.com, by the way. It's phenomenal. Oh, and it's going out into the Atlantic. Well, not really. It goes up all the way up the coast, so we're all going to get hit. Now, I didn't show this yesterday, but this is from my June 22nd post here from the transcript. First thing was the Cat 5. I had two different recordings. This is the drawing that I actually had. So barrel went underneath here. I had it going up. I said it was going to be Cat 5 here. The Cat 5 actually happened here. But in the session, it was basically, I was trying to douse, like, where would this be? And yeah, I said that it misses us, but it hits North Carolina directly. That's some more direct data. While I'm here, might as well show, that's where hurricanes in our area typically tend to generate, over closer to Africa here, then they come this way. I'm sharing some stuff, some updates here about the direction. I'm just enjoying the anomalous behavior. There's barrel. It ended up turning into a Cat 5 there, I believe. I give a little bow talking about the huge size of it. Has become a Category 5. And one of the things I said in the session was I saw it from a satellite, and it was like this huge white thing. So I follow Ed in our area. He's phenomenal. He's super funny too. And he shared this photo of the eye of barrel. There's the categories by months. Oh, and that's what it looks like from space, which is literally exactly what I was seeing in my visual perception. So yeah, that's pretty phenomenal. So who knows? Maybe this is a bleed over into, like, the majority of it had to do with barrel. And then I also had a bleed into Debbie. Either way, I should get more specific, the David Powell challenge. And this would technically be a stretch where I'm trying to take data and apply it to other stuff. I just do think that the biggest torrential rains that we've seen in 6-7 years, and the timelines here are quite interesting. Okay, without further ado, this time here's the raw session data. Thanks for watching.